Okay, moving right along. This is part 2 of a 2-part review of the Sentinel Into the Spider-Verse Miles Morales figure. So if you have not already, please go back and check out part 1. So taking a final look at this head sculpt before I go ahead and swap on the final head sculpt, which is his unmasked look here, which looks very good to me. Probably our best unmasked sort of 6-inch scale Miles Morales head sculpt. And while I do think this looks very good, I still don't think it's spot on. I think they captured the style of the animation from Into the Spider-Verse really well, but something in the lower jaw area just seems off to me. And also the problems with the way the head sits on the neck persist. I don't know how they didn't view the final product and realize these were not the right proportions. And real quick, doubling back to one of his masked heads so we can look at another accessory here. He's also packed in with these headphones, Beats by Frey. There's no logo or emblem or anything there to decipher what brand these may be, and they only fit on the masked heads, by the way. And let's start getting down to the nitty gritty so you can see how the unmasked MAFEX version stacks up to the Sentinel version here. Some very stark differences. No question the Sentinel version is better as far as being more accurate to the animated film. I always thought the MAFEX version was okay, but definitely not accurate. But it's wild to me how different they look. Not just the head sculpts, the suits. I'll give you a full look at the bodies side by side. Surprisingly though, they are about the same height. But I do think overall the look, the feel, the sculpt of the Sentinel version is better than the MAFEX version for sure. Now we'll have to see how Sentinel fares with their next release to see if their P2B Parker is as good as MAFEX's, because the MAFEX P2B Parker actually makes the MAFEX Miles better. Let's see if this will be a war between the two lines to see who can complete the team and who will do it better. But as far as Miles goes, I think Sentinel has the edge here. I will say in terms of engineering, the MAFEX has a few points of articulation that I prefer. As far as the butterfly joint here, where the shoulder meets the upper torso. Of course, they have wrist hinges on the MAFEX version as well. If you saw my review of the MAFEX figure, you know that my particular version had an issue with this left knee, where it doesn't kind of hinge forward as much as I would like. So if you were paying attention when I had the zoomed out side by side frame, he was standing a little awkwardly. But yeah, the MAFEX version is very spindly and seems a little delicate to the touch. And there they both are with the mask on. It should be noted that the MAFEX version also has a cowl and sort of like a half masked head, where the Sentinel did not pack in either one of those items. So MAFEX has the edge in terms of those two extra accessories. The MAFEX version also had the magnetized feet and hands as well. And real quick, in terms of articulation, before we change up his getup, you saw that the head and neck move separately of each other. You do get a very good range of motion on the head and neck, despite the head sitting on the neck very awkwardly. The shoulders are on a ball joint. You can get them up pretty high. You can do a full 360. They do pop off here because this is how you start to change out his outfit, but it does retain a very good range of motion there, and it's about the same range of motion as the MAFEX. You know, this is intended to be a butterfly joint and a ball joint and everything that you need. There is upper bicep swivel. There is a double jointed elbow. You get a very nice range there. Swivel on the wrist, no hinge. Upper torso articulation, lower abdominal articulation, so you get a really good range forward and back. You can turn them at the waist as well. Looks like a barbell joint there in the pelvis, so the legs can come up very far. You get to rotate on that joint. Double jointed knee. You get a swivel, a hinge, a pivot on the foot, as well as a toe joint. All right, let's change his deco. So both arms pop off. The jacket here is all one part, or the jacket and the sweater underneath is all one part. It's very hard plastic. You can still bend it a little bit, but you can see a little peg hole right there. That can be fitted onto the upper torso. The upper torso detaches from the lower. You have a couple different choices for hoods. So you have the relaxed one that you can put on. I'll apply that one first. It pegs right in here in the back. He's got an extra set of arms that come attached to this little barbell. This is how they are in the package to keep them together, but obviously you have to pull them off of that and then attach them to the upper torso. And there's that so far. I feel like this is going to be the start of another gripe of mine, but I'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It should be noted that right where the bend of the knee is, the lower leg detaches from the thigh, and you need these lower legs to add on to the additional set of legs with his shorts on, so we'll get into that. Here's a look at those legs. These pegs are just placeholders here. You can pull those out. Soft pliable plastic here, like a rubbery sort of plastic, and there's that so far. And then you reattach the legs. Obviously we have to remove the feet, like so. And I never took these little pegs out on the wrist. These are placeholders as well. And just a little articulation update with the new parts on. So there is rotation here at the thigh, right below the end of the shorts. And you can kind of rotate and move the leg around there at that joint. Retain the double jointed knee as well. So you get a really good range of motion there. The sneakers are articulated at a few points. You can swivel here at the top of the sneaker. You can swivel here at this point and hinge at both points, and you still get the toe joint. So really good range of motion there. There's a good look at those not Jordan 1s. A couple of more accessories that you can utilize for these as well. Now this seems like a kind of unnecessary flex, but it is what it is. I would have preferred the extra cowl or the half masked head or something like that, but you do have a couple of options for shoestrings. So these have some tiny little pegs on it, and you can peg these tied shoestrings into the front of the sneakers like so, or you have the option for a set that are untied. And again, a crazy flex, but really cool in terms of taking pictures and really doing some dynamic things, some things that look off the wall, some things that really photograph well. While unnecessary, it still is pretty cool. All right, there he is in a relaxed state, but here are my issues with the costume swap. This is about as far down to the sides as his arms can go, and if you know me, you know that's a pet peeve of mine. No matter how great the figure looks in dynamic poses, I do want to be able to get the figure in a relaxed sort of vanilla stance. If you try to push the arms any further down to the side, then they'll pop out the sockets. Like I said, the jacket is a harder plastic, so it's fixed in that position. You can't really bend it down or push his arms any closer to his body. It is what it is. You know, this is meant to pose him in a dynamic way to make it look like the jacket is kind of flapping in the wind a bit. Also, the hood doesn't really seem to want to stay pegged into the back of the jacket there. I have to keep adjusting that, but other than that, I do like the harder plastic sort of swaps than the soft goods swaps of the MAFEX, that's for sure. Getting the legs close together is not an issue. That's another one of my pet peeves. If you can't really kind of position the legs closer together, that bothers me sometimes too. Again, overall the figure looks great, but these little minor details, these little minor infractions, they add up to me. Good look at the unmasked head on the body. Again, a very nice looking figure. There's his final accessory, which is, well, aside from a stand, he is packed in with a stand. You can forget me using that stand, but this only seems to look decent when you have him kind of bent over a little bit. And again, it's having a hard time kind of pegging in and staying pegged in. Again, I think this is great for some dynamic posing, but if you want to just get him standing upright, the hood doesn't look correct to me. It's fixed in a funny way where it looks like the wind is always catching it. I feel like if you actually remove it from the peg hole and just kind of sit it in this little area between his neck and the back of his jacket, it looks a little better, but I'm still not happy with this. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this hood is whack. Alright, there's what we have so far. So on the left is the Marvel Legends Miles Morales. You can see how much taller he is than these other two guys. Smack dab in the middle is the Sentinel, and then on the far right is the MAFEX version with his clothes on. And if you remember this review, if you saw this review of this figure on my channel, you know I was really not a fan of the clothing for the MAFEX version. But he looks a little more relaxed here than the Sentinel version, that's for sure, with these arms sticking out to the side. It just looks so awkward to me. There's the Sentinel head on the Marvel Legends body without the neck peg, because the peg always comes out when you take the head off of this body for whatever reason. If I could get the peg to stay in the neck, then this head might sit on there properly. There's the Sentinel head on the MAFEX body. Again, you lose the neck because this neck peg is actually a little thinner, so the head sits too far down on the body. There's the MAFEX jacket on the Sentinel body, which actually looks pretty good. I'm not going to bother trying to swap on these shorts because I've been tearing them up, taking them on and off of the MAFEX version, but this jacket looks very good on this body. Even when you start playing with the hood, the MAFEX hood has some bendy wire there across the front, so you can position that any way you wanted. This is a good compromise, I think. Yeah, being able to get his arms down to the side in this jacket is a bonus. So unfortunate that the other jacket is fixed the way it is. And there he is, flanked by the 2 Legends version. On the left is the Green Goblin Build-A-Figure Wave Miles Morales. I don't remember, something will be popping up here, but we definitely need a do-over on this figure. And then on the right is the figure I showed previously. And as you can see, I kept the sneakers on him here while he's in his suit. And as I take a closer look at the MAFEX version, there's a lot of inconsistencies in the paint here. Some areas where the silver sort of highlight is there, and then some areas where it's not. I mean, honestly, the MAFEX version gets a little more trash to me each day. But again, the Peter B. Parker was so good that, you know, you got to hold on to this guy. You got to see where it goes. Just a cleaner look to me on a Sentinel version. Again, I like the texture of the costume. The spider emblem on the front and the back looks really good. Again, I like the raised eyes. I like the posing ability here. I like, you know, the articulation overall, aside from the fact that there are no hinges on the wrist. But my major issue with this guy is the way the head sits on the neck. So hopefully we can fix that here. Alright, a little bonus content real quick as promised. Shout outs in order. Shout out to my man Serial Killer 989 who actually put me on to Figure Fix on Instagram and told me that this account had neck extensions specifically for the Sentinel Miles Morales. Now, I've bought a neck extension before, I think from John Walker Customs for the SHF Mando, which worked out well. So I figured this would be an easy fix, and I'm going to try this here for the first time. But yeah, big shout out to Figure Fix. We had quite a bit of correspondence. Seems like a real cool dude, and if this works out well, then I will highly recommend him to each and every one of you. All right, so let's see. So there's a quick look at the standard peg again. I'm going to heat this up and pull it out and then pop in a new peg, and hopefully this will work. There's actually a little tutorial that he has up on his YouTube channel, so I'll put a link to that in the description below. Maybe some of it will be showing here. So that was simple. I just gave it a little heat with a standard blow dryer that I have here, and yeah, this looks pretty good. Let's pop the head on and see what's what. Ah, yes, that looks so much better. That looks great. You saw that the peg was sort of like a light bluish color. Doesn't really matter. You can't really see it anyway, so it's all good. Just that little bit of extension makes this so much better. Yep, now we lit. I'll go ahead and swap on the unmasked head too, so you could take a look at that. But as far as changing his getup and putting his shorts and hoodie and stuff on, I'll save that for some photos for Instagram and what have you. But this right here really makes it worth it. So overall, the figure still is very nice. One more little bonus thing here. There he is with the MAFEX Peter B. Parker, and these two look great together. So yeah, I'd say that Sentinel definitely has the edge over the MAFEX Miles Morales. He is the new king of the Into the Spider-Verse 6-inch Miles Morales figures. I feel a lot better that I spent a little bit more money than I probably should have on this, but this is definitely a purchase I would recommend both. That means the purchase of the Sentinel figure and the purchase of this neck extension. It's essential to really take this figure over the top. So yeah, don't forget to check out part 1 of this. Part 2 went a little longer than I expected, but to see all the details of the figure and how it works in its entirety. And thanks for hanging out. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell down there. And until next time, peace.
I'm in the game, I'm grinding, I got to play 24 hours in a day, 7 days out the week, I never sleep. I'm on my grizzly bear, 52 weeks out the year.